Okay, so I think we can start now. Others will meet up. So, good evening, everyone, once again. Welcome to um, GIX Class One. Okay, so I'll just get straight to it so that we'll not waste much of our time. Today we are going to just introduce, talk on what UI is and basically what UX means. So I'll be sharing my screen now. Please hope I'm audible. Please let me know. Okay. All right. So I'll share my screen now. Um, okay. Okay. So can you all see my screen? All right. All right. Thank you. So basically today we are going to be introducing us into introduction into UI UX design. Introduction to UI UX design. In this my module, this is like the first module. We're going to talk about what UI is, what UI design is, what UX design is, the principles, the elements. We're going to be talking about like extensively into what UI design and UX design means. So okay, so we're going to be talking about what design means, the importance of design, introduction to UX design, introduction to UI design, the differences between UX and UI, the similarities and the terminologies, UI UX terminologies. So let's get right to it. So before I start, can anyone just tell me, like, have an idea on what design is? Can anyone just try to, like, basically, generally, what does design mean?
Hey, good evening.
If you want to stop,
We can
just raise
say,
your hand. All right, good evening.
okay, sorry, ma. Graphic design is Design is
Hello.
bringing something out of your thoughts and merging them together. It can be in pictorial text, or squares, or anything, just to make your communication as a form of communication to people.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. A form of communication, conveying a message. Yes, that's a good point. Anyone? Does anyone want to try? Any other person? Okay. Okay, so let's just get right into it. So design generally, it is applicable to many things. Design is like a broad concept. It is applicable to many things. It's applicable to various disciplines. It's applicable to various fields. Basically, what is around us as human being in this world, what is around us is design. Anything we see, they're all designs. The phone we use, the laptop we use, the even the world itself to design. I'm sure that people used to say, "Oh, God is the perfect designer. God is the first designer." I'm sure we cannot disagree with that because even looking at the sky, you can see like some form of gradients, colors. It's like gradients. You understand? So everything around us is design. We cannot come up with a product without having a design. So design is like applicable to many fields and disciplines. So design is a field of study that practice that examines the relationship between a user and the man-made environment. So design is like is like the study of having our study that examines the relationship between us, that is we are the users, and our environment, in form of with some functions, like in form of aesthetic parts, the functionality parts, the context parts, the culture parts, and the societal parts. So design is like studying our relationship, like our interaction as a human being with things around us. Also, it is also in an act of science. This is another definition of design. It's an act of science, an act and science of creating a product that is aesthetically pleasing, that is visually pleasing, that is attractive. That's the meaning of aesthetic. That is attractive and also functional. You cannot have something that is not that is attractive and not functional. At least for something, for you to be able to for you to want to buy something, you will know that okay, I have a particular purpose of buying this thing. So a design has to be aesthetically pleasing, that is visually pleasing, and also functional. So design is just the act and science of creating such products. Then also, for you to design, you have to know, you have to understand what it means. It's like an intentional act, because design requires a lot of thinking. You have to think. You have to think innovatively. You have to think innovative. You have to like think outside the box. You have to think a lot if you know you want to be a designer. It requires a lot of creative thinking. So therefore, you have to be intentional about it. You cannot just wake up one day and say you want to design without knowing what it means, without knowing what it entails. So you have to like be creative when you want to design. So it's an intentional act. So also this design, it plays a crucial role in shaping the world around us, because it's going to influence the way we interact with products. For example, I decide to buy my phone. At least before I know there are different models. We have different phone models. We have the small one, the 3310, and we have the Android. So before I decide to buy an Android phone, sorry. So before I decide to buy an Android phone, I'll be able to know, okay, I need more functions that 3310 or the small phone cannot do. So that is why I'm buying it. Now imagine when after buying the phone, it cannot serve the function why I bought it. So it can mean that you can see that the experience using it, your what you were expecting, your expectation buying that phone, you can see that it's going to be like it's not going to give what you wanted. You understand? So it's influenced the way we interact with products, because when you're using a product and you're not satisfied with it, that means the product is bad. That means the product is no good. So the way you interact with products, it depends on how the product is being created or is being designed. So it also encompasses a broad spectrum of disciplines. Like I said earlier, there are different ways by which you can design things. So we have types of design. Firstly, like I said earlier, the design is it is applicable to various disciplines. So the first one is graphic design. The first one is graphic design. Like we all know, like the first speaker said, that design is meant to is the way of communicating an information, conveying an information. So graphic just about designs that convey information, that communicate informations, like our flyers, like billboards, like data covers, handbills, and all. So you can see that checking that they are conveying a particular information. So that's graphic design. There's web design is designing a website using no code to softwares like Framer, like WordPress and all. So that's web design. Then we have industrial design. Design our industries, like our chairs, whatever things around us, our chairs, our tables, our phones, and all. Then we also have interior design. Like we know, interior design is design in our homes, how we decorate our homes. Then architecture design, our furnitures, motion graphic design, fashion design, game design, UX design, UI design, and product designs. So these are some of the types of design that we have. Even though we might have more, but these are like the common that we have. Okay, so now to importance of design. What does design do? What does design do? So the first thing is that, okay, and why do we have to design? So the first thing is functionality and usability. Like I said earlier, your design has to be functional, it has to be effective, and also it has to be usable by your users. It has to be usable by your users. Then also design has to be functional and user friendly. It has to be stress free. Whenever your user is interacting with your products, there must not be any problem or there must not be any form of frustration from your users. So your design has to be stress free. It has to be easy to use. It has to like just be easy. Usability easy for your users. Your users does not have to be on frustrated using your design. Your user does not have to feel lost using your products. You get that? So, and also the functionality part is that whenever you want to design something, you have to make sure that there's a problem you're trying to solve, and that design is solving that problem. That a problem and it's a different thing to solve the problem. So whenever you want to design, you identify a problem and you make sure you're solving it. So that's the first one. Then the second one is aesthetic and branding. Aesthetic means attractive. Your design has to be attractive. It has to be visually appealing. You cannot go to the market and decide to buy something that is ugly, or you cannot feel happy using something that is ugly, that is not even visually appealing. So in as much as your design is functional or your product is functional, you have to make sure that it is also visually appealing. And this aesthetic part, it's really enhances user experience and engagement, because when I see what I like, I will always want to use it. I will always want to engage with it. I will always want to interact with it. So aesthetic part is it plays like a significant role in design. Also branding is how your user connects with your products. So for in this world, we're in a competitive world. So for your design to stand out, you have to implement the principle of branding. You have to implement principle of branding. So that your design will stand out in markets, like in the more competitive market, your design will stand out. So you have to implement branding. Then the third one is communication and innovation. Your design has to serve as a means of communication. You have to be communicating. That means you are communicating the message through your design. And the way we communicate message is true, is the way your interface looks like. The UX part is solving a problem and all, but for the UI designer, the way you implement those solutions, it has to like communicate. It has to communicate with your users. You have to like use design elements that are interactive. You have to use design elements that are easily understandable, so that your user will not feel lost or just feel confused at some point when they're using your product. So communication, your design must serve as a means of communication. Then the fourth one is user experience. Whenever your user is using the product, from the beginning of the product to the end, your user has to be satisfied, because whatever thing we are doing, we are making everything around the user. We are centered around the users. So whatever solution to bring up, it has to be based on what the users need. It has to be based on their pain points. So your user experience is a very, very crucial role in design. So your product has to be efficient and satisfying for users to interact. Then the fifth one is society and accessibility. Your design has to be accessible to everybody. It does not have to be limited to some people. For example, some people with disabilities, with visual impairments, with hearing impairments, all those people with disabilities, they should be able to have a feature in your products that will make it accessible to them. You just don't say that, oh, my product is just for those that are able-bodied people. So you have to make sure that your design is accessible to people, to everybody. And also your product doesn't have to be interreligious. That is, okay, it's only Hausa people that can use this, and Yoruba people cannot use it. It's only Igbo that can use it. It's only Christians that can use this. It's only Muslims that can use it. Even though they are target audience, but at least you should be able to make your design accessible to everybody within your target audience. Normally you have a target audience when you're creating a product, but you have to make sure that your design is accessible, your product is accessible to everybody within that target audience. Then the sixth one is creativity. Like I said earlier, you have to think a lot. As a designer, you think a lot, creative thinking, you think outside the box. You think, you explore new ideas, because this world is trend. You are moving with trend. So as the world is moving, you said you move with trend, with the world. You understand? So you have to like be creative. And the seventh one is intentional. Intentional. Whatever thing you are doing, always make sure you have a purpose. Whatever products you're creating, have a purpose while you are doing that. So those are the importance of design. So we are going to introduction to UX design now. UX design. So like I said last week, UX means user experience design. User experience design. So this user experience is the process design teams used to create products that provide meaningful and relevant experience to users. Meaningful and relevant experience to users. Please, am I still audible? Okay. All right. Thank you. So the user experience design is the user experience design is like the process of creating designs that are functional to the users, that provide meaningful experience and relevant experience to the users. It's the process of conducting research to understand the problem, to identify the needs and the user's pain points. You have to identify what the users want. You research about the pain points of the users. You analyze those research gathered, and you will create a problem statement from it. And that particular problem you got, you have to find a solution to it. So that's just the process of UX design. So, and creating or bringing up that solution, we have to like make sure that it is centered around the user's needs and pain points. So it's whatever solution you are coming up with, you have to make sure that the way you implement it, it is easy to understand. It is easy to understand. So it's focus. It's okay. UX design involves the design of the entire process of acquiring and integrating the product. That is the aspects of designing, usability, function, all these aspects. What this sentence is just talking about is from the research to the launching, from the research to like the final phase of the design. So whatever thing that you are doing for the UX designer, whatever product they are coming up with, it has to be solving the user's problem. So that is what that sentence basically means. So it focuses on creating products and digital experience that are easy to use for the users. They are efficient, that is functional for the users, and also satisfying for the users. So, and the goal of all UX designers, the goal of UX design is to create products that are easy to use for the users, and they must always also meet the needs and the goals of the users. They must also solve the user's pain points. They must solve the user's needs. So that is about UX design. That is what UX design practically means. So for this UX design, for us to understand more on this UX design, we are going to break it into two parts. We'll be breaking it into two parts. So for this UX design, what the way you can just think about it is that, okay, as a UX designer, you design things, you research, you think, you research about things, you analyze the thing you researched on based on your users. You come up with a problem statement. You come up with a particular pain point that, okay, this users are facing. You come up with it. You research. You think about solutions that you can give for the users to solve that particular problem. So that is one part. That is one part. Then the other part is that when you are creating those solutions, you have to make sure that it is influencing, or should I say it affects the user experience. It's even has to be positive. It has to be positive. So whatever thing you are researching on, whatever solution you are coming up with, you have to make sure that it is affecting the user experience positively. So the users response or perspective about your design, sorry, the user's response or perspective about your design will determine if your design is a good design or a bad design. So their experience using your product will determine whether your design is a good design or a bad design. So even though you are designing, you are coming up with a solution, always make sure that you put your user first. Whatever decision you want to make, you have to put your users first. Also, for a UX designer, you have to be able to, and then sorry, you have to be able to answer like 4 questions. The 4 questions, we call it the 3 W's and the 3 WH. So we are going to have to answer the question what, why, um, what, why, who, and how. So firstly, we used to start with the why. That is, why am I coming up with this product? Why am I doing this? Do you get it? Why am I doing this product? Then that is like coming up with your problem statements. Why am I doing this? That is your problem statement. Okay, now I've gotten my problem statement. What solution am I going to implement to it? What's the what part? What solution am I going to implement into this, or like to solve this problem? Then after that, I've gotten my why, I've gotten my what. Then the next one is how. Now I have my problem statement, I have my solution. How will I implement this thing? How will I come up with something that can solve, or the solution I come up with? How will I implement it in a way that it will solve that problem? So that is the how part. Then the last part is the who. I have my problem statement, I have my solution, I already know the way I'm going to implement it. So, who are my target audience? Who are this particular product meant for? Because I'm very sure we all know that not all products in this world are meant for everybody. There are some products that are meant for babies, there are some products that are meant for adults, there are some products that are meant for older people, like older people. There are some products that are meant for teenagers. So not all products are meant for everybody. So you have to make sure that you determine these 4 questions. Why am I creating this product? What is the action, or what am I going to implement to solve this problem? Then the third one is that how will I solve that problem? And lastly, how will I implement the solution? And lastly, who are my target audience? So that is about UX design. So basically, UX design is just how your user interacts with your product. That is creating products that affects the user positively, that affect the user's experience. That is let's say creating a product that solves or solves the user's needs and pain points. So that is just basically what UX design means, and also affects their experience positively. So the next thing is introduction into UI design. Introduction into UI design. Then, like I said last week, UI design is just the interface. UI design is just the interface. It just basically means how to implement what the UX designer has come up with. So UI design, user interface design. That is what UI means. User interface design. It focuses on anticipating what the users might need to do, and ensuring that the interface has elements that are easy to understand, easy to access, and use to facilitate those actions. Like we know, you interface, you have to interact with it. You have to interact with it. Now, the UX designers come up with solutions. Now, as a UI designer, what you have to do is to implement those solutions, present it in a way that is going to be easy to interact with for the users. That is basically UI designer does. You present your solution in a way that it will interactive. For we say something in design. You say that UX is like the software of design, and UI is what you interact with. It's things that you can see. So that UI design is creating an interface, designing an interface that is easy to access for the users. They are easy to understand. Whatever design elements they are using to present those solutions, you have to make sure that they are easy to interact with. They are easy to understand. They are easy to access. So whatever action that your user wants to do on your design, you have to make sure that it is understandable. You cannot expect a user to want to sign up on a website and you just create a rectangle and just put color without putting any writing on it to indicate that okay, this button is for this particular thing. So you have to make sure that whatever thing that you are using, whatever design element that are using, it is not going to be something that will be hard to understand for the user. So that is what we mean by ensuring users use as element that are easy to understand. So this UI, it brings concept from interaction design, visual design, information architecture. With interaction design is putting in elements that users can interact with. Then the visual design is that designing something that is aesthetically appealing to the users. The interaction design has served with the functionality. That is, the design has to be functional, it has to be visually appealing, and information architecture is the user journey. That is basically user experience. So your user journey from the beginning of the design, so it's fine. So that's what the UI brings together to break up their own interface. The UI designer bring a custom brings together the concept they bring together to come up with their own interface. So now, and the primary goal, of a GI design is to enhance user experience by improving the presentation and interactivity of the website, application, or any digital interface. That is, for UX design, their goal is to enhance the user experience by meeting the user's needs and pain points, by solving the user's needs and pain points. Now, for you as designer, you also have to enhance user experience because you are dealing with users. You have to enhance user experience, but in this way, you have to enhance them in the way you present your solutions, in the way you design your elements, in the way you design your interface. So that's how you are going to enhance your user experience positively. So the user interface is the space where a human interacts with, like I said, is like the hardware of the site. It's like the hardware. You interact with it. You see it's something you can see. It's something you can touch. It's something you can see and it's something you can touch because you're conveying a message, you are communicating about something, you are telling your user about something. So whatever design elements you are using, be it the typography, that is the fonts, be it the readability, be it the typography, be it the color, be it the buttons, the icons, the imageries, the illustrations, whatever thing that you're using, you have to make sure that it is understandable by the user. It is interactive with the users. And also you can also implement gestures, you can also implement um things like voice controlled gesture. You can implement bodily movements, um, gesture based commands. So we're going to get to that. So you can implement these features to enhance your users in aspects of accessibility. You can use it in those user psychology to create user friendly, reliable, logical, and engaging interface. So, like I said, designers they put themselves in the shoes of the users. You don't think for yourself. You set aside your own thinking. You don't think for the user. You don't say, okay, the user may think of this, the user can think of this. No, you work according to what your user wants. Even though I'm saying that okay, design, think outside box, be innovative in your thinking, have critical thinking and creative thinking. But that doesn't mean that you should start thinking for your user that okay, the user might want this, the user might want this. No, you have to design alongside with your users' pain points. You don't think that you don't think for your user, you set aside your own thinking and you work towards what your user wants. So that is user psychology. That is you enter into your user's brain. So you understand them, you have like an in-depth understanding about your user. So that's about UI design. So we have types of UI design, user interface design. The first thing is graphical user interface. That is like visual representation of something, what we interact with, like our phones, our laptops, our desktops. So they are like visual representation, like a digital interface of what we interact with, what we can interact with. Then we have the voice controlled interface, that is interface we interact with through our voices, like Alexa, like Siri, all those voice command features, like the one on Google as well. I think there's a voice command on Google. So those are features that you can add to your design to make it accessible. Then we have gesture-based design, that is interacting with your body movements, like these visual reality games. You know, when you use a VR, when you're playing a VR game, it will take you to somewhere that is not realistic, something that is not real, but you interact with it with your body movements. So those are the three types of user interface that we have: the graphical user interface, the voice controlled interface, and the gesture based interface. So now we are going into the elements of user interface. Elements of user interface. So first one is input controls. Please, hope I'm still loud enough. Following. So is there only one person that is following? Oh, else am I doing? Okay, two persons. I think we have five students here. Just two. Please let me see your reactions, oh, because I can see it's just two person. That is two people that is following rather. Or am I not audible to others? Please unmute your mic and talk. Please, am I audible to everyone? Okay, Olushola, you giving me yours. Thank you. Others, Olumide, Rotimi, I don't know this person, and Mudola Jesu. Okay, Rotimi, please can you unmute your mic and talk? Are you here with us? Just unmute your mic and talk. Are you here with us? Okay, I don't think he's here. Olumide, are you here? Okay, Olushola, are you here? Okay, the last JTHU. Sorry, I don't know the name. JCHUBBIZ. Are you here with us? Okay. Okay, Olumide has replied. Okay. Okay, so I think wrote to me. I don't know the person's name. I don't know where they went to. So let's just continue. Let's just continue. So now we are going to be talking on elements of user interface. Elements of user interface. The first thing is input controls. Input controls. What this does is it allows users to communicate with the product by entering information. That is, when you are using whenever you see this element, this design element, you have to input your information as a user. You have to input your information. You are communicating with the product by entering, inputting your information. Like for example, we have buttons. It can be as simple as a button or checkbox. So for example, we have text fields, form fields, like when you want to sign in or up on a website or a mobile app. You have where you input your names, when you input your email address, when you input your address, your sex, the rest informations about you. That means you are entering your information. You're entering your information. You're communicating with the product by entering your information. So also we have something like drop down menus. Drop down menus, like for example, you want to pick your sex, and clicking on the sex field, you can see some drop down menu. So you're inputting maybe you're a male or a female. So that is that. Therefore, checkbox, like ticking a particular box, you are inputting your information as well. So those are the examples of input controls. Then we have sorry, excuse me. Sorry about that. So we have informational components, that is, as for input controls, you are inputting your informations. But for informational components, the product is providing informations to you, to the user. The product is providing informations to the user. So examples of these informational components, we have icons. Looking at some icons, even without putting labels or labels on them, you'll be able to identify them as, okay, they are serving this particular thing. Or there are some people that put labels, even though it is best to put labels with your icons, and some may not put it because users are already familiar with it. Like we have, when you see a settings icon, you already know what it's about. When you see a notification icon, you already know that, okay, this particular icon is for notification. When you see an home page icon, a home icon, you know what it's about. So the product is telling you, that is conveying to you that this icon, no, it is for settings. This icon, it is for add to carts. This icon, it is for user profile. So that is communicating information with the product, with the users. Then we also have notifications. What we see under our um our notification screens, we always see informations that are meant for us. Then we also have progress bars. We have progress bars that is telling you, like maybe you have a steps to be taken. It's going to tell you what steps you've gotten to, what the things you still need to do. Maybe you want to go back to the next step, or go back to the previous step, or go to the next step. So that is the progress bar. So it's telling you about, it's conveying an information to you. Then we also have different things, different types of informational components. Then the third one is navigational components. The third one is navigational components. Navigational components is just to help the users to navigate through the product, through the website, to navigate their way through the website by implementing elements like breadcrumbs, by like search fields, like tags, like sliders. So search field, in the sense that when you are using a website, or let's say a mobile app that has a lot of information, so instead of now starting look for the information from the beginning to the end, like that's going to take you like 20 or 30 minutes, and you have your search bar there, the thing you just have to do is just to go to your search bar, input whatever information you need, and it's going to bring it out for you. So it's help you to that is helping you to navigate, or reducing stress of wasting more time on the product or the website. So that is the navigational components, that is inputting helping the users using elements that helps the users to navigate through their products. And we also have tags, online, we use social media. So maybe there's a hot gist that is going on, and you just be like, let me quickly look for this thing, hashtag so, hashtag so. It's going to bring up all the posts about that thing. So that is that. Then the fourth one is containers. These containers, it helps interface to look structured. It helps interface to look organized. It helps interface to look the layouts to be good. It helps the layout of an interface to make sense, to look good. So these containers, it keeps the user organized, and it keeps the users it's group like similar elements together. We're still going to get to that where you group similar elements together. So in this, under this part, we have the headers, we have the tabs. You know, when you're using your Google Chrome, instead of having to close each tab, like, okay, imagine, for example, now imagine maybe Google Chrome, you can only open one tab. Like, you can imagine that whatever thing you have to do, you have to go back, search for this one. Then when you're done, go back again, search for this one. You can imagine that. So now grouping these elements together, now creating tabs for each element, creating tabs for each information. You can see that, okay, when you're done with this, you can easily go to the next tab and find out what you want to find out. So that is a container that is grouping elements that are similar, that have similar information, grouping them together. So those are the elements. Of course, long run, we are going to understand more about it. Then now we are going to differences between UX and UI design. Okay, we've been talking about UX, we've been talking about UI. Differences, are there differences, are there similarities within between these two things? Can they work separately? Can they work hand in hand? So we are going to see that now. What are the differences between user experience design and user interface design? So for UI design, UI is the first one is UI is the aesthetic part. Like I said earlier, is the attractive part of a product, while UX is how functional a product is, how functional and efficient the user interacts with the product. That's the first part. The second one is UI is about the physical part of a product. Like I said, the hardware of design. UI is the hardware of design, while UX just focus on user journey. It just focuses on user journey. That is the journey, the user journey from the beginning of the product to the end of the product. The beginning of maybe a user is trying to make an action, the beginning to the end. So that is what UX focuses on. But since whatever thing the user encounters along using the product. So the third one is UI is the combination of design elements. That is our design elements, is our typography, our colors, color palettes, our imageries, our iconography, illustrations, videos, and all animations. So UI is like the combination of design elements. So we bring everything together to create a visually attractive user interface. While UX, it creates the structural design solutions for the pain points the user encounters. That is, it gives the UX is the one that gives solution to the user's problem. The UX is the one that gives the UX is centered around solving the user's pain point and their needs. Then the first one is that UI is visual touch point that you interact with UI designs. They are interactive design, interact with UI designs, while UX is focused more on the experience of users from the beginning of the product, using the product to the end. And the fifth one is UI results in products that attract the users aesthetically. What attracts users to an interface is UI design. That is a product that attracts the user aesthetically, while UX results in products that delight the users with its functionality, with its effectiveness. So that is that. Then the sixth one is that UI involves iteration to refine visual elements to make sure that they are aligned with the brand's standard and aesthetic standard. What I mean by iteration is improving, going back to it and improving on different things, changing different, changing some things, improving, just going back based on user testing or usability test. Going back to iterate on your design, that is improving on your design, not that you're spoiling the game, you're improving to improve some design, while to make sure that they align like brand and while UX involves continuous iteration based on user feedback. based on user feedback, usability testing, also so that you can affect or enhance the overall experience of the user. The seventh one is that collaborate with UX designers. What's the only collaboration UI designer needs, like that I know they need, is with the UX designer. So they in as much as they have a cordial relationship with UX designers, that's all they just do UX designers to give them what to do, and they work alone with the aesthetic part in the interface. But for UX designer, you have to collaborate with everybody on your team. You have to collaborate with the product managers. You have to collaborate with the developers. You have to collaborate with the clients, the stakeholders. You have to collaborate with the data analysts. You have to collaborate with everybody on the team because you're the one, like you're like the center of the creation. You're like the center of, or let me say that you are the okay, what English can I use? You're like the one that is bringing up solutions to what they want to do. So whatever thing you say, whatever thing you do is going to affect everybody. You need everybody's input. For example, now a product manager is like supervisor of the design, the team generally, the tech team is like a supervisor. So you have to like collaborate with the managers to be able to understand what clients want, what the user wants. So whatever research you are doing, you have to make sure that you're collaborating with the product managers. Okay, you are done with that. You've given the UI designer. The UI designer is done with designing everything with you are still the one that would collaborate with. It's the UX designer that will still collaborate with the developer. So that it's going to tell you that okay, this element is here because of this particular thing. I use this thing because of this particular thing. I come up with this particular solution because of this. You understand? So you have to like collaborate with UX designers. They do a lot of work. You collaborate with everybody on the team because you are the one bringing up the solution. They are working based on what you said. But is going to work based on what you say. So that is for that. Then for UI delivery is only they only deliver things like they only deliver visual design mockups, like style guides, design assets that are like guides, because that's something in design that we call design system, design assets, style guides. They're just to guide you on implementing your design, on how you implement your design. Then while UX deliverables, they are user personas, user maps, wireframe, prototyping, usability test reports. All these are just to guide the overall user experience strategy. So that is those are the differences between UX design and UI design. So let's go to the similarities now. What are the similarities? Obviously, they're going to have similarities. As there are differences, we still have similarities. So the first one is that both UX designers and UI designers, they have to develop empathy for the end users. They have to consider the user in whatever thing they are doing. Everything they are doing is centered around the user. Both the UX designer, both the UI designer, they are centered around the users. So whatever thing you are doing, you have to make sure that it involves the user. The second one is usability testing. Both UI designer and UX designer, you all have to conduct usability testing. That is, they have to evaluate effectiveness of design. When you design to a point, you have to conduct usability testing by gathering some potential users and giving them like the wireframe or the prototype of what you've come up with, and giving them actions to do, giving them things to do, giving them tasks to do. So when they are doing those tasks, you study their reaction. If it's not something you can see, you ask them questions. Okay, were you confused at some points? What do you think I can still add to this to make this nice? You know that the users will now give you feedbacks. So that is when you now go back based on the users' feedback. You go back and iterate on your design. That is what I call by iteration. Improve on your design based on the users' feedback. So the third one is user research. Both designers, UX or UI, they have to conduct research. They have to like make research because you cannot, like I said, you cannot decide on your own. You cannot make decisions on your own as a designer. You have to consider the users. So both UI designers and UX designers, they have to make research. Like I said, I used to say this thing. No designer will say that design from your head, from the scratch. There's no how. Designers will still like an artist. You gather templates, you research on templates and come up with yours. Not that you are going to copy someone's template or just use somebody's template and just incorporate into yours. No, you can research like 7 templates. Then you gather everything from here, from here, and from here. You gather everything to make yours better, to make your own design nicer. So that is why most of the times you have we do have this websites where we can get inspirations from. You need inspirations as a designer. So you don't design from your head. You don't design, okay, you design from your head, but you don't design from scratch from your head. You still need to look for templates. Same thing goes with UX designers. For UX designers, you have to research to know about your users to be able to come up with a problem or a solution that is solving what they need. So both of them, they have to make research. Then the last one is that whatever thing they are doing, their goal, they have the same goal. That is to solve a user's problem. They have the same goal to create a product that is visually appealing and is also functional. So they have the same goal. So those are the similarities between UX designers and UI designers. Hope nobody is lost. Do I need to find anybody? Sorry, can't you unmute yourself? Or okay, good. Anyone else who is lost? Who do I need to find? Oh, I see you're back. Welcome. All right. Olusha, I hope you're not lost. Olumide, hope you're not lost. All right. So so now we're going to be talking about UX and UI terminology. So we are just going to brush through this because most times you may not understand the terms now until we start designing and we learn more about it. So the first thing we're going to be talking about, the first terminology is A and B testing. A and B testing is like method of iteration. Usability testing is like design testing 2 different versions of a particular. That is, you have a particular product, but you have like different versions of it, so it is more effective. The second one is accessibility. Accessibility. That is, to what extent can your products be used by everybody? Is your product available for everyone or available for some set of people? So there's accessibility. Then we have affinity mapping. This affinity mapping is used to organize it is used for as for by UX designers to organize their findings because they are the one understand. They are used to organize their findings. Then we have better testing. Better testing. This better testing is when you launch an unfinished product just for you to for a group of users to use it to see how it's going to perform in real world, like in real life, to see how it's going to perform. So this A and B testing, beta testing, like and the rest, there is types of usability testing. So whatever thing that's technically testing is just to test is to test how conduct usability testing or conduct user testing with some potential users to know how effective or functional your product is, or to know like some areas of improvement. Then we have animation design, process of creating animated graphics, and we have brand identity, that is you designing or doing something that captures what the company is all about, designing based on their brands, doing what that is capture and convey the essence of what a company is all about. Then we have the breadcrumb. The breadcrumb is an example of navigational components where it shows where a user is currently situated. That is, some if you see on your on any website, you can see, like, let's say from your home, from the home page, you navigate to the service page, from the service page you navigate to the products page. From you now see something like home slash service, like the steps you've been taking, the screens that you've been going, the screens that you've visited from the onset when you start using the product to a particular place or to the particular screen that you are, is going to like show it, the steps that you've been taking, so that you will not be confused at some point. Maybe you are on one screen, you don't know how to go back. The breadcrumb will help you to navigate. It's just for easy navigation. So it's an example of navigational component. Then we have case study. So the case study is like it outlines like the process you used when you were designing, like a design process. So the case study is going to involve like from the beginning of the design to the end, when you started making your research, when you conducted your problem statement, the goal of the design, the solutions, the information architecture, the style guides, the visual designs, the wireframe. So the case study comprises of everything. So it's just like a layout, a documentation. Yes, I would say documentation of the processes you followed when you were designing or coming up with a design. Then we have the competitive analysis, that is comparing um researching on companies or your competitors, researching on your competitors, on companies that have, or researching on products that are similar to yours, and implementing features that will make yours better than theirs. So that is competitive analysis. Then we have consistency. That's you have to be consistent with whatever thing you're designing from the beginning to the end. You have to be consistent with whatever design element that you are using. You have to be consistent. Then the design patterns, we have like design patterns, like we have some patterns in design that you can reuse, that are reusable. Then we have the design pattern in aspect of iconography, that is, there are some icons that are set aside for some particular things. So now using those icons for a different thing, it can cause confusion for the users. Then we have design systems, like a guideline that will guide you when you're designing. Then we have design thinking process. We're still going to get to that. We have the empathy, that is putting yourself in the shoes of your users. Then we have the empathy mapping. They are used by UX designers to like summarize the things that they got, the research that they got from their users. Then we have the information architecture, that is how the design is, or how the product is organized. We have the mock-up, a visual representation of what the product will look like once it is developed. We have the minimal viable product, that is the future things that you can future the future things that you can incorporate in your design as it goes on. You have some features that you can still incorporate. So those are your minimum viable products. Then we have the persona, we have the problem statement, we have the product roadmap, we have the qualitative research. That is qualitative, that is data that cannot be measured or counted. Then we have the quantitative, that is data that can be counted. Sorry, this one should be data that can be measured or counted. Then we have the user flow and the white space. So these are some of the UI UX terminologies that we are going to be using more often when we start designing. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so this is the end of this module. Okay, now it's time for questions. So any question from anyone, just raise your hand. If you have any question, just click on the hand button there. Just raise your hand if you have any question. Any question? Okay. Um. Okay, Ritsima, you have a question, right? Please, okay, Rotimi, go on. Unmute yourself and talk, please. Or is it that no, you can't unmute yourself? Please let me know.
Good evening.
Okay, good evening. I thought you can't unmute yourself. Good evening.
Please, I wanted to ask,
Okay, so do you have any question?
yes, like for
Okay.
the last week and for this week, is there a way we can, so if we want to read what we've learned, we can go through it?
I'll get back to you on that. So if I will send it, I will send it on through the admin. So the admin will send it to you. So I'll get back to you on that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, so I think sorry, who was the last person that raised hands? Who is the second person? Please, you can go ahead and talk. I don't know. Who is the okay? So is that so? Are you guys saying you don't have any question? Please unmute yourself and talk. I like my class being interactive. Please, please, please don't make me feel like I'm the only one here. Do we all understand?
Yeah, I understand. I don't have any question from my own side.
Okay, thank you. Who else? Hey, people are killing my
Man, no
morale.
question, man. No question.
Okay, please, what's your name? Does this JTHEBBI is it? Okay, all right, so I will. Sorry, I'm with you. Just give me a few minutes. Okay, so I will want us to take one more thing. I want us to take like some aspects before we call it a day today. I want us to talk about UX design principles and some UX laws. UX design principles and some UX laws. So, okay, before I do that, please, the last task I gave you guys, to download Figma software. Did anybody do that?
Please, what was that? I didn't attend the last class.
Okay. Okay, I said we should all download Figma software and create an account on Figma. Create an account on Figma so that by the time you want to go, maybe you want to do anything on Figma, you won't have to go back to start waiting or start learning how to create accounts. You just go straight to the point. So that's what I said. Okay, so those that attended the last class, did anyone? Okay, I think Olushola did. Who else already has an account with Figma? Because I'll try to create a playground now for everybody to join. Okay, we have another person.
Please, what about those people that doesn't have access to laptop that only attend the class online?
Okay. Uh, you can just create. There's a way you can create an account on Figma. You can download Figma on your phone. You can download Figma on your phone. There's Figma mobile app.
Okay, on Play Store, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so I want everyone to do that.
Figma. Okay.
So I want everyone to do that before I want everyone to do that before next class, please. So Rotimi, have you done yours? Have you downloaded yours? Have you
Yes, I have.
Figma playground Figma account?
Please, ma. There's a lot of. I see Figma.
Olumide, do you?
Hello. Hello, ma. Hello, ma. I see. I
Yeah.
see Figma prototype mirror on my Play Store. I don't know which one to download.
Sorry, I can't.
I see
Yeah, that's
Figma
the Figma
prototype
file.
mirror.
That's Figma.
Ma, is it compulsory to use it on system?
Okay, I see Figma prototype mirror share.
Okay, please give me a few minutes, please. Please mute yourself, please. Okay, yes, it's the Figma prototype mirror. The Figma prototype mirror. So you can download that. Okay, Bumi, is that fine?
What do you say?
I say, is that okay? Is the Figma prototype mirror? Did you hear that?
Yes, yes, I've done that already.
Okay. Okay, please mute yourself. Okay, so I guess everyone has done that. So I want us to quickly talk on UX design principle. I want us to quickly talk on UX design principle and UX laws. So we have some principles that we have to do or implement when we are doing our UX design, when you are doing our user experience design. So we have some principles we have to incorporate. The first one is user centricity. User centricity, that is creating products. So whenever you're doing your research, whatever you're coming up with as a UX designer, you have to make sure that whatever thing you're doing is centered around the user. That is what that means. So that is to create products and services that solve users' problem. Therefore, whatever thing you want to do, it has to be according to what the user needs. So you have to make your decision based on the information you have about them. You have to make your decision based on what they want from your product. So whatever design that you are coming up with, whatever thing you are coming up with as a UX designer, it has to be centered around the user's need and the pain points. So that is the user centricity. And this user centricity is built in the UX process. It's built in the UX process, starting from the user research, where you identify the user's problem, the user's needs and their pain points, when you identify the problem statement, to understanding who your target users are. So understanding who your target users are, to solving the problem, to bringing up a solution that will solve the problem you come up with. And when you're done with that, when you're done with solving the problem, through to user testing, that is gathering feedbacks from your user based on what the solutions you come up with. So that is the process of user centricity, right from your user research down to the usability testing. So the second one is consistency. Whatever thing you are solving, whatever problem that you are solving, you have to make sure that it is solving a specific problem. That problem. And you have to make sure that the whatever thing you are doing, let's say from the first screen, let's use a website as an example. You know, on the website we have our own page. We have our, for example, we have the services page, we have the products page, we have the registration page, FAQ page, that is frequently asked questions. You have the about us page. So whatever design elements you are using across all these screens, it has to be the same thing. It has to be the same thing. Maybe you used blue as your prime color for the first screen. Be consistent. You have to use blue for the rest. Maybe you use interfonts for the first screen. You have to be consistent with the rest. That is what you must use. Rest. For your button, you have to use a corner radius of 30 on your first screen. You cannot go to the about us screen, unless for your own page screen. You cannot go to the about us screen and let's use button with corner radius of 5. So that's what I mean by being consistent. That is, whatever your user sees in the first thing, like the first element that user sees, is like, it has to be like the same thing with what they will see all through the website. Don't confuse your user with things. Because, for example, a user sees a button that is very round, like the radius is so round, like it's very round, and now go to the next page, you know that, okay, this is a button. Like the first time the user sees this is the button. Now the second screen out, the user now sees something like a button like that, just a mild corner radius, like just like 3 or 5, that looks like a rectangle. Now imagine how the user will feel, be like, so is this a button or something else? Because I saw something like a button. So which one is this one? So you have to be consistent. So to keep design consistent in how they look, the function across all screens and pages and products we did the same. You have to like make sure that the function across all screens and products, they are within the same family. You have to make sure that whatever you are doing as a designer, you are consistent. Consistency is like a very, very crucial principle, a very, very important principle in designing. So the third one is hierarchy. Hierarchy. So this is also an important design principle because it shapes how a user navigates the product. So this hierarchy is just basically arrangement of design elements based on their order of importance. That is what hierarchy is. Arranging elements based on their order of importance. Then this hierarchy is going to tell you how easy a user will be, a product to be, how easy a product will be, or how hard or complicated the product will be. Because what I mean by hierarchy is that normally in design we have what we call headline, we have what we call subheading, we have what we call body text. So arranging those things based on increments in size, based on increments in font or color. Arranging them based on their sizes forms like is like adding a principle of hierarchy, because normally your heading should be able to, when you have something like heading, like let's say typography now, heading, it should be able to like give summary of what the website is about. So looking at the heading, you should be able to know what you are trying to do. Like it should be able to convey a message to you about what this the site is all about. So hierarchy will make your user, it's up there to know that okay, this is the first thing I should go to, this is the first thing I should read, this is the next one I should read. So that is what hierarchy means. It does help with how structured and how organized the website should be. So as a rule, you have to place important elements at the top. You have to place important elements at the top. You have to place important things. That is, the important things is what your user should see first. That is what I mean by hierarchy. Placing design elements in order of their importance. So the fourth one is context. Whatever thing you are doing, you have to make sure that you have a good context. That is, you need to understand who your users are, and you need to understand like what context, in the context in which they're going to use your product. The context in which they're going to use the product. And for you to know all those things, you have to make research. You have to make research to know all those things. So as a designer, you have to ask yourself that, okay, what device might my user use to access the product? Are they going to use laptop to access my product? Are they going to use a phone? Are they going to use desktop? So that you'll be able to know or to design something that is responsive. Responsive in the aspect that it is easy to use on laptop and also easy to use on mobile phone. So the next thing is that you have to understand that, okay, where might my user be? Are there going to be like some factors that can interfere with their experience using the products? So all those questions, you have to provide answers to them. That is why you need to make research. You have to make your research in this aspect. Then the fifth one is consistency. Sorry, accessibility. This should be accessibility. I will correct it. Accessibility. Accessibility, that is, your design has to be accessible to everybody with disability, accessible to people with disabilities. That is, those that have visual impairments, auditory impairments, motor impairments. That is, those that can't hear, that can't see, that can't walk. You have to create a feature that will make your design, your product accessible to them. So we have the sixth one is user control. Always make sure that you help your users to redo their mistakes, to correct their mistakes. Give your users second chance to correct their mistakes, because we all know that nobody is above mistakes. So you have to give your user second chance to reverse their error by adding redo buttons, by adding undo buttons or undo features. So you have to make sure that give your user second chance to undo their mistakes. So then we also have the last one is usability. Usability. Make sure that your product is usable by your user. They are easy to use, because you can't create a good user experience if your product is not usable. You have to make sure that they are usable. Your products are usable. So we have 5 components of usability. We have the learnability, we have the efficiency, we have the memorability, the errors and satisfaction. So that's about the UX design principles. Then the next one is the UX laws. These UX laws, they are just something you have to know at the back of your, just know it, because they will help you. You have to like consider them when you are building your interface, when you're designing your interface. The first one is aesthetic usability law. That is, you have to make sure that your design is attractive. Attractive design please the users as the one that is more usable. Then we have the false consensus law. That is the tendency to assume others share your belief and will behave similarly in a given context. We have the Doherty threshold. Productivity increases when a computer and user interact at a pace where neither has to wait when the products respond quickly. Then we have the fifth law, that is easy interaction through the careful sizing and positioning of interactive elements. Then we have the X law. We have the X law that usually limits the decisions that your user have to take. We as users, I know, we as human beings, we don't like when we have to like think and think. You have to take so many decisions. So you have to limit the decisions that your user takes. So then you have to limit their number, their choices, minimize the choices. That's things that your user have to decide on. We have the rule of first impression. It is make sure that your user's first impression is very, very important. Like their impression when they first see your product. It's very, very important because it's going to determine how the experience will be, how the overall experience will be. So you have to like create a design that makes it very good first impression. Then we have the Weber's law or just noticeable differences. That is, don't overdo things. Even though I say you have to think, but don't go and overdo things. Follow familiar UI patterns. There are some patterns on ground that users are familiar with. So follow them. Don't go and think overthink or overdo things that will make the users feel lost or frustrated, or the design or the overall journey, the overall experience will be frustrating. The overall experience will be like complicated. So don't go and overdo things because it can cause distraction. Like this is dramatic changes can cause distraction. So the eighth one is pick and rule. That is the users, like I said, first impression. The first like the beginning of your experience, like the beginning of the user's experience is going to judge the way everything will look like from the beginning to the end. It's from the beginning that you know how like the user experience will look like or will be like. So that is for the pick and roll. Then we have the principle of familiarities. Users prefer when products work the same way other products works, even though they work the same way, but yours is just to add features that will make yours better. So users want patterns that they are familiar with. Then the 10th one is Miller's law. Keep your interface very simple. Don't over add things. Keep it very simple. Don't add too much information. Don't add too much choices that your user has to make. Don't give them so much decisions that they have to take. Now we have Gestalt principle. We are still going to get to that. It involves principle like proximity, similarity, closure, and consummation. They help in organizing the layouts of the design. Then we have Jacob's law. Jacob's law. That is creating designs convention that like follow established design conventions to create a familiar and intuitive user experience. Then we have law of pregnance, design interface that communicates a clear and simple message to the user. Then we have Zeigarnik effect. We have the Pareto principle. You don't just read these laws. We have the law of proximity, that is objects that are near to each other, they have to be grouped together. Objects that have similar informations, they have to be grouped together. We have Occam's razor. That is when there's an overthinking in using a product, the user will tend to go for easy one. Nobody loves hard life. Everybody wants easy life. You cannot give me something that is easy and something that is hard and expect me to go for something that is hard. So users tend to go for things that are easy, that requires less thinking than going for the one that will have to start stressing my brain. So the ninth, we also have law of common region. We have picture superiority effect. That is, pictures are likely to be remembered than words. Like human beings, they remember what they see than what they read or what they hear. So those are the laws. There are many, but I just picked like this 21 just to make us understand, like there are some to make us understand that there are some laws that you have to follow when you're designing during your UX, your user experience design. So that would be the end of today's class. So next week we're going to talk on design thinking process. Next week I'm going to talk on design thinking process. So next week also we are going to start working on Figma, on our Figma. So That is all for today's class. Um, Sorry, give me a few minutes. Okay. So, any question concerning that? Any question concerning that? So the file is going to be sent to the community group. I'm going to send it to the community group. Then please, does anyone have any question? Please raise your hand.
What file is that, ma?
The the slides rather. The site is going to be sent to the community. I think I'm sure we are all on the community group,
Yes.
right? Okay. Okay, my portfolio link. All right. All right. So I think okay. Okay, I'm so sorry for that. I'm sorry for that. My laptop just hanged. So, in the absence of no question, please let us try and create our Figma file. Like I said, let's try and create our Figma file and also open our Figma account. Download our Figma software and open our Figma accounts as we're going to be using it tomorrow. So, okay, also against tomorrow, what I do is I ask summary of whatever thing we talk on. I ask summary in the next class so that at least I'm going to know if we understand better or to know what to talk on. So tomorrow also I want us to learn about design thinking process. I'm moving to model 2, learn about design thinking process. So when we come tomorrow, we are going to talk more on design thinking process. We are going to be doing some designs tomorrow. So and also I want to beseech us all, please let us come early to class. Let us join early, please. Let us join early so that by the end of this course, we are going to become professional designers. So I think that should be all for today. That's going to be all for today. Since no one has any question, I'm going to ask for the last time. Is there any question? Okay, Olushola, you can go ahead. Okay, my portfolio link. Um, I will have to copy it. I'm coming. Give you a few minutes. Um, okay, so I will have to search for that. I'll have to search for that. So by tomorrow, I'm going to drop that for you tomorrow. Sorry, I don't know what's of it. I'm sorry. So I think I have to search for that, or I'll drop it on the community group. Is that fine? Alicia, is that fine? I'll drop it on the community group. All right. So thank you guys for today's class. So I hope we understand because this one if anybody is not talking. Do you guys understand? You did not say anything. And I said I want my class to be interactive. People are not saying anything. You're not making me feel you're killing my morale. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So see you guys tomorrow. Same station, same time. Please let us come early. Again, let us join early. I'm begging again. So thank you guys and see you tomorrow.
Okay, thank you, ma.
All right. Thank you, man.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Okay, bye. Take care, ma. Thank you. Thank you so much.